Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. No, there is nothing wrong with your internet connection. It has actually been less than a month since the last podcast episode went up. Maybe there's something in the water. I don't know. It could be your birthday. In which case, if it is, then happy birthday. I would sing to you, but I've been advised never do that again. Anywho, aside from that, I got a question for everyone. As a gamer, all right, listen up. As a gamer, do you value the number of people that either play or don't play a game? Okay, let me be specific here. If a new game comes out and 10 million people are playing it, that's a good thing, right? And if a new game comes out and like only 10 people are playing it, that's probably not a good thing. Okay, that was my question. We're gonna continue now. Anyway, yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Neko Mimi Cafe podcast. My name is Gruzbee, and the Catgirl mascot is Fumi-chan. And this is the place where I can talk about whatever I want, and no one can stop me. This is episode 13. This is the one where, you guessed it, I'm going to talk about Highguard. So kick back, relax, get your listening ears on. We're doing this. So yeah, the big question, as if you couldn't already tell by the thumbnail, the title of the podcast, when does player count matter? When do numbers actually matter? As someone that has played a lot of polarizing games, I have seen my fair share of numbers being tossed around. You know, the numbers that are being used to either justify a game's current status as being a success or a horrible failure. I'm not going to call anyone out, but the Destiny 2 community is in love with numbers. Damn! I called them out, didn't I? Look, it's pretty obvious that we're in the age of information, right? And numbers going up and down means a lot of things to a lot of people. If Destiny 2 has a new expansion, okay, and 300,000 players jump on Steam to play it, I mean, that means something. It means someone did something right. But when those numbers are bad, when someone, someone did a boo-boo, is what that means. And you get the internet equivalent of being tarred and feathered, right? You get that long, slender gamer finger of shame pointed at you, and you get to hear about it over and over and over again on social media. Look, people are dicks. They don't like handing out compliments. You got to earn those. Those aren't unlimited, bro. But complaints, on the other hand, oh my God, those things, they self-replicate. People can't give those away fast enough. Really. Like, if you want to see some of the dumbest internet arguments that exist, then I challenge you. It's a challenge. Trust me. It's a challenge every time I do it. That's why I don't do it very often, because I hate this challenge. But I challenge you to go read some Steam discussion comments. Go to pick a game. I don't think it matters at this point. Everybody's got an opinion, but pick a game, go to the discussion tab, and just read through the threads. Such and such game has 3,000 active players, down from 20,000 or some other number. It must be a dead game. Pack it up. It's over. Yeah. If I've read one of those, I've read 100. Someone, as we speak, is probably composing one of those comments. And I don't think it matters what game it is. Overwatch 2, Destiny 2, Starfield, Marvel Rivals, Ark Raiders. No game is immune from this numbers comparison. Hell, everything is a numbers go up or numbers go down situation. Just the other day, all right, I watched a new movie, and I immediately went to look at the box office numbers. This isn't just about confirmation bias, okay? We can get that anywhere. This is about being informed. We also, we also know that numbers don't always paint the full picture. They can't put everything in context. As much as we would love to look at a number and say that it represents the full scope of why a thing succeeded or failed, we can't do that because numbers don't do that. They can tell us, sort of like a cold fact. This is what the number says, but there's a lot of stuff in between there, right? I think the numbers are kind of a starting point, a stepping off point. We have to know when the numbers are telling us the truth, and we also have to know when people are skewing those numbers to say something else or to push their own mindset about something. Because, you can do that, right? I think people do that. They go, oh, these numbers here, yeah, X number of people agree with me, so it must be true. And the last thing we should ever do, I think, is completely disregard numbers altogether. And I think that's very close to what Chad Grenier, the co-founder and studio head / game director of Highguard, is doing. So if you don't know, a few days ago, he did an interview on Polygon. And in that Polygon interview, Grenier is quoted as saying, whether Highguard, gets 1,000 people or 100 million people, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the game is loved by the people who play it. And I want to be clear. There's nothing wrong with what he said. In fact, I love that sentiment. But that is not the sentiment one should have when they launch a game like Highguard in the state that it launched and the way that it launched. As much as I love being a content creator on YouTube, as much as I would love to say it's not about the number of people that watch my videos or show up to my streams, it's about how much the people love my content. Yeah. I guarantee you that it matters to the algorithm. It's a number crunching vortex. When I stream a game and no one shows up in the first 5 minutes, if they're all busy taking a piss or getting a highball, the algorithm is going to shut me down. I've got 5 minutes to prove to the algorithm that enough people have showed up at the start of this stream to justify me taking up their valuable internet time. And I'm not talking about your time, I'm talking about YouTube's time. YouTube is brutal now. I've been talking about that for a while. I don't want to bring that up here. Not in this video. That's a completely different can of worms. Like, Highguard had everything going against it before it was ever released. You don't make an announcement for a multiplayer game out of the blue, right? And expect lightning in a bottle like Apex Legends. I don't know if anyone even bothers to look at the current state of games before they decide to make one. But multiplayer games are fickle as frick, my guy. The gaming community is tired. They're tired of being jerked around. They're tired of half-assed games designed around monetization and battle passes. They want to know that a development team has made a game just for them and no one else. But when you drop an announcement for a game touting it as a never-before, one-of-a-kind experience in a sea of similar experiences, well, they're going to be reaching for the tar and feathers. I don't even have to look at the numbers to know that whatever number there was on launch day was probably fueled by morbid curiosity. People were going to play this game that took the #1 spot at the Game Awards, and they were not going to hold back. You know, if it was anything less than pure magic, pure cinema, perfection incarnate, oh God, this game is going to be blasted to hell and back. I do believe that there will be some people that are going to enjoy the game for what it's worth. I hope that Highguard meets their expectation. I really do. But it's also kind of foolhardy to ignore all the warnings from the community. You know, you don't show up unannounced and say, "Here's your new game. You guys are going to love it," and not get anyone asking some questions. Most of the time, you know, when people start dragging out numbers to prove this or that about a game's success, you know, I typically ignore it. They aren't always pulling in all of the numbers. They lack a lot of data points, and they always forget regional markets, and they always forget consoles for some damn reason. Let's face it. If the doomsayers were right, every game would be nearing end of service. So I don't always trust when people start dragging out numbers. You can't just blindly trust it. It's always nuanced. I don't normally agree with always listening to the players, right? Making every change that they suggest, because oftentimes it seems that a select core of sweaty tryhards ends up being the ones that are listened to. But in this case, I do think that Wildlight Entertainment could have benefited from the community of gamers and their collective years of wisdom. Like when this game was announced, the first thing the community did was stand up and be like, hey, you know, why were we not told about this? You're going to be releasing a multiplayer game to a bunch of gamers who have a lot of experience playing multiplayer games, and you didn't even bother to get our feedback. Again, I'm not saying that you have to listen to everything that they say, but I mean, there's confidence and god dang, there's confidence, right? I mean, even Bungie, and I'm sure it was at Sony's insistence, had the sense to take a step back and reevaluate Marathon. And I was sure that game was over, that it had blown every chance it had. I mean, it still could be a monumental failure, but at least in practice, it's trying to do something better. When you have a game that sticks the landing as poorly as Highguard, and you have such interesting hot takes on player counts, it does make me wonder about the people steering this ship. It also has me asking who a game like this is actually for. You know, I'm always eager to give new games a fair shake, but I mean, I'm a cantankerous old man who's stuck in their ways. I like my steak cooked a certain way. I like my drink. You know, when I go to the restaurant, I like less ice. And I know what games will keep me coming back for hours on end. I'm also keenly aware of how easy it is for me to get disinterested in something and move back to this other thing, you know, that's more tried and true. I already spend an unhealthy amount of time playing games that don't respect me or my effort. They're always, they're always dangerously close to ripping me off, and are in constant need of reminding of how valuable I am as a player. Or did you think that I was, going to jump at the chance to insert another Overwatch 2 into my life? When I stepped away from Overwatch, after having played the game since since beta. It wasn't hyperbole. And it wasn't me posturing. That 3-year break was intended to be permanent. And it took a lot of changes to even get me mildly motivated in returning. Highguard is not some game with a long history. It's a brand new IP from former Respawn employees looking to break the bank at the casino, and they're going all in on black. You know, when the devs say things like, I don't think that there's a game out there that is like ours. Come on, that is worrisome. When you shoot down the notion of shooter fatigue and start talking metrics and data, that doesn't spell the same thing as passion. You know, who on your team was so impassioned with this project? You know, who on your team woke up one day and was like, this is the game I've always wanted to make. This is the game I've always wanted to play. Or was this the game that was going to make it big because shooters as a category continue to be the rocket fuel that propels the gaming space? Every time I tried to compete on YouTube by doing what other content creators were doing because of metrics or data, it was met with instantaneous failure. I wasn't doing it because it was my lifelong dream to make that video. It was me looking at some other channel's success and wishing for a spot at that table, arrogantly thinking I could do that too. And it's for that very reason that Concord is considered one of the biggest gaming flops of all time. I can absolutely say that chasing numbers isn't always the best approach. I mean, you can get lost in that, you can get buried in that. It can skew your perceptions. And once again, I want to say, I don't think the devs are wrong about wanting players that are passionate and who love their game. And if Wildlight Entertainment was some underdog with a passion project, this might be a different story. But what we seem to have here is a different kind of number chasing and willful obstinance. And trust me, I know about being obstinate. If you want to see a perfect example of that, then all you have to do is come at me with something like Highguard, and I can show you all day long how much I don't give a shit. Really. I do wish the game, let me say this like this. I don't wish ill of any game. I don't wish for a game to fail. Unless, of course, it's like a blatant disregard for everything I stand for as a human being and as a gamer and all that other stuff. There's very few times I'm going to just be like, I hope this damn thing fails. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that guy. I'm going to wish them all the best in the world. But I am concerned. I am concerned. And I'll tell you right now, despite what you say about numbers, despite what I think I know about numbers don't lie. And you can interpret that however you want to. Anyway, that's all I've got. I just wanted to talk a bit about games and player counts and finally make mention of Highguard. It was time. It was time. But I definitely want to hear what you think about it. What's your hot take on Highguard and player counts? Should we look at the numbers? Are the numbers always right? Are those player count numbers mean a game is good or bad? Let me know. Head to the comments and let's make with some discussion, guys. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching and or listening. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, then by all means, guys, consider liking and subscribing. It really does help the channel out. You know, it lets the algorithm know that I still matter. And of course, if you want to help the channel directly, you can by becoming a channel member or joining the Patreon or just buying me a cup of coffee. Links to all of that is in the linkity-link place down below. Have an amazing day, everyone. Keep being awesome. This has been the Neko Mimi Cafe podcast. I am your host, Gruzbee, and I will see you in the next episode.